Good evening. Welcome to the Town End podcast. It's our first European night post-match podcast. Thursday night as well, which is a little bit different for us. We would normally go into a bit of post-match and not analysis, but just critique some stuff and comment on players. But we're just going to start. We're going to get Dean Hours in straight in from Chicago, and we're going to go to some breaking news, Dean, involving one of the best midfielders we had at the squad in the last decade, easily, is it?
Yeah, it's we were just saying off air, how come we can't have nice things? You know, good night, good result, and then the news comes. Derry City, for anybody that maybe hasn't seen, Derry City have just announced that Patrick McElhaney has signed a pre-contract with them. So at the end of the season, he's going to be a Derry City player, if not sooner. And it's mad.
It's been talked about. It's been muted for a long time, but it's I think there was talk during the week, and I think was it Larne originally back in the day were in for him, and then it was the Glens, and yeah, look, he's such a massive. You're probably talking with himself and Chris Shields are going to be together. Is going to be a massive. It's a massive loss. I'm surprised he's not going now. To be honest, I don't know if that's. We were saying just off air that it could be in the pipeline, that they may try and get him to go now even, but it's just such a, especially the timing of it, it's only gone up probably, what are we talking about, 8 minutes ago, it's just gone up on Derry City's page, and it's, the way he's played tonight, it's a good game tonight, and there was no kind of talk that was going to happen this soon, but it's look, I suppose the one thing about it we possibly have until the end of the season, he might just, give it one last crack, next couple of months just play his heart out, but it's such a, especially off a win like that, it's such a bad, not a bad, but it's just news you really don't want to hear after a result like that,
Exactly, that's like, we were going to get into it in 4-0, and I was thinking to myself, obviously we didn't get chatting too much during the game because everyone was busy doing different things, but I was like, I'm going to keep it positive tonight. I'm not going to try to stay away from the negativity, and then 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before we go on air and that breaks, it's just heartbreaking, It's the story of our season, isn't it? It's like one positive is followed by a negative straight away, and it's baffling, isn't it?
It's a master stroke from Derry social media as well, just to put it up straight after a win. And I think they made a comment earlier on about, patching scoring and saying they were okay with it, kind of jokingly, tongue in cheek. But it's look, it's great for Pat. He's gone home, and he's. I suppose there's that way of looking at it, but obviously from a selfish point of view from us, it's not the end of the world, but it's a real, I suppose without getting too into it, we have got patching in, so hopefully he'll be staying around and maybe taking over, but you don't really replace. It's like Shields, it's like Gannon, I suppose on some level, Sean Hall. You don't really replace players like that. It's very difficult to replace players like this, and yeah, look, we don't want to dwell on this kind of information over the last couple of minutes after a great win, but it's a kick in the teeth. Just they could have timed it a little bit better, but look, that's the way it is at Oriel Park at the minute.
Yeah, and look, I think that's, as you say, that was kind of Derry's plan was probably to wait until after that, or there was probably an agreement that they would wait until after the game. But it's not. I mean, it's not an overly surprising development. It's been rumoured that he was either going up north or going back to Derry for the last couple of weeks. But it's just, as I say, it's off the back of a good win in Europe. It's just a disappointing news to get. But anyway, look, we just wanted to kind of get through that at the beginning of the show for anyone who didn't see. We're here obviously to talk about the game. We're going to try stay on a positive trajectory for next while until Maher gets in. But yeah, Dundalk obviously started off the 2021 European campaign in the Europa Conference League tonight. 4-0 win against Newtown of Wales at home. Goals from Duffy, McMillan, a cracking goal from Will Patching, and finished off at the final whistle with a nice header from Han. I suppose I think we matched our highest ever European scoreline as well tonight. I think with that, Dave McMillan became the all-time leading goal scorer in Europe for League of Ireland teams as well. So quite a historical night, albeit the opposition wasn't too great. So before we kind of discuss that, if anybody wants to let us know who your man of the match is tonight, please send in your comments. If you want to comment on the game, we'll be sure to share it. So, Gally, what do you think about the match?
I thought we were more of a unit than we've been. Probably. I start off by saying that Newtown aren't. They're probably a lower league team when you throw them up against the League of Ireland. They're probably in the lower ends of Irish football when you can try and get a comparison on them. But they're a poor outfit. But I mean, look, you have to play what's in front of you. And sometimes if you're playing against a poor team, you can be dragged down to that level. Never mind having to up your game for a good team. And I thought we were excellent. I don't think we got into second gear. I don't think we absolutely pummeled them. I don't think we got, but we probably should have been. It should have been gone at half time. We probably should have been 4 gone at half time easy. We missed some good chances. Some silly pass and went astray. Could have played Duffy in a little bit more once or twice in the first half. But I thought we were more structured. I'm throwing around the word galvanised all the time, and I think galvanised been. I think since Mark Rosso was on the show, we've thrown galvanised out every week. I think he used that to strike Stephen Kenny's team, and I think we looked a bit like that tonight. I think there was a bit more structure to it. 1 or 2 players from me still don't cut the mustard, but coming off the bench. But I thought in particular, I know we're already talking about possible man of the match, but I thought Sam Stanton was excellent. I know Patching might steal all the plaudits for the goal, but I thought he was excellent again. Mickey Duffy's had a good game. Beebe's been all right. Beebe's been decent. The obvious thing to say is Mickey Duffy ran the show sometimes, but I think Sam Stanton done work that Chris Shields was doing a couple of weeks ago for us, playing the ball out from the back, a low line playmaker. But yeah, over the last couple of weeks, I think the likes of a Beebe's even it's like a rebirth. Maybe Vinny's attitude with him. I don't know. There's no sign of him chopping and changing the goalkeepers like they did before. The goalkeeping coach is still the same, so maybe it's Vinny's influence that's come in and maybe just got that mental side of it right. I just thought we just looked more like a structured team, a well-oiled machine tonight, albeit against I don't want to use the word amateur opposition, but they wouldn't last too long in League of Ireland, I don't think. But I thought we were well worth the 4. I thought it should have been about 6 really, but I think that should be game, set and match there for this round. Yeah, no, I agree. I think you've hit the nail on the head that they were a poor side, but I think when you look at it, kind of how our season has gone, these are the kind of teams in the league. Yeah. We've struggled against the poor sides, and I think it was very easy for us. I think, again, a Dundalk FC full of confidence. I think I said it in the first half when we were texting back and forth. A confident side probably would have knocked 7 or 8 past these tonight. But yeah, I would agree. I think at times we looked brilliant. I think the midfield was very, very good. Stanton, as you say, for me, you say he kind of done some of the stuff that Shields done, but he actually reminded me a little bit of at certain points in the game of Stephen O'Donnell, where he was dropping into the back 4 to pick up the ball, and he was getting behind, getting in the way of passes that they had and things like that. There, Abibi, as you say, I think that was probably Abibi's best game for Dundalk tonight. He pulled off 2. He didn't have much to do in the first half, but the second half, as it started and we were under a bit of pressure, he made 2 unbelievable saves, one after the other. He made 2 fantastic saves. Patching down the middle, we said it on Friday night. Patching has to play in the middle, and he showed that tonight. He showed what he's capable of. I'm gonna blow my own trumpet here. I call it McMillan got his goal, but he just looks lively up top, doesn't he? He offers you something different than maybe Hooban would, and even Mistogan when he came on didn't offer the same as what McMillan can. So overall, we can only say so much about what's in front of us, but being positive, 4-0 in Europe, no matter who you're against, has to be seen as a positive result. Exactly, yeah, and the roads are going to look. We can say now that they're a poor team. We didn't know if they were a poor team coming over, and I'm sure Dundalk didn't get a lot of scouting done either. They might have got the odd game, but again, it was going into the unknown for them. I think it was Adrian Taft said that. I think in the Welsh press, Dundalk were known as the giants of Irish soccer. There's Christopher, new haircut.
This is it. Yeah,
that's his TV haircut.
I said, look, Gally's not going to get his haircut. I'm going to have to get a haircut. Keep us going somewhat in this second podcast.
No, we were just saying, Chris. They were kind of an unknown game tonight. It's all right for us now to say that Newtown were a bad team, not a bad team, but a poor side. But it was an unknown for both of them, and we were in the Welsh press. They had us. I think Adrian was saying that they had us down as the Irish giants of is it giant killing or giants of football or something?
The giants of Irish football.
Yeah. So look at that. It was. Look at. We can write off the other team all we want, but I thought we played well. I don't know what it was like live. I know you weren't probably watching it live too much, but you were doing your work. But
running around mostly.
Yeah. What did you think of it?
I thought great results, great game, good performance. Another European goal for Macmillan, a 50th goal for the club from Duffy, debuts in Europe for Abibi. First goal in Europe for Patching. First goal in Europe for Han. I thought, this is great. This is going to be a real good news day. And then I checked my phone.
And then we started the show, yeah.
What the hell, lads?
Yeah.
I've never seen it before. But so all the journalists just done their mix with Vinny at the end, and it was all talk about the game, and they all left. And then a group of them just ran back to him again just as they announced the game.
Yeah, I think Derry played a blinder there, just having that. It was obviously pre-done. It's interesting that there was no kind of word of it during the day or during the week. I know there was talk, obviously, but fair play. Look, he went out tonight. He did his job. And by the looks of it, he's going to have to do his job at the end of the season, knowing that he's moving on. But
just a pre-contract.
Look, it's a pity, but look, it doesn't take away. It kind of takes a little bit of shine off tonight. But look, I thought we were very good tonight. Definitely worked the 4. If not, I know people go on, but we should have scored 12. We definitely should have scored 6.
I think it could have been 4 at half time.
Yeah.
I think started the second half, they come out with a little bit of fire underneath them, thinking, do you know what, if we can nick something here, it's and Sonny Nanastad kind of went completely missing, only to get bailed out by a BB twice from it. But I seen the Titanic turn quicker than he turned on that, and I was like, oh my god,
watch, didn't he?
Yeah, he was waiting for it to bounce. Then he decided he'd wait for it to turn, and neither of those two things worked out well for him.
Yeah. I tell my kids players, one bounce, that's all you're allowed. After one bounce, you got to do something. You got to make a decision. It's criminal.
I think there was a clear difference in fitness levels there tonight and ability levels. They don't get me wrong. I think they showed in patches that they're a decent team, but you can also see that. Probably with the COVID changes that they had to make, new players coming back in, and a lack of, I suppose, any game time and the build up to this, it probably showed on them, especially at the end. They were waning at the end, I thought.
Yeah.
But you know what? They're not a bad little outfit. I'm happy that we've put. I think you could nearly say that the tie is nearly put to bed. You can't see a collapse of 4 goals over there. You wouldn't have thought, unless something. Look, it's Dundalk this season. Anything could happen, but you like to think that's it done. And even a BB who I was talking to at the end of the match there, he's absolutely beaming. That's without a doubt his best performance for us.
Yeah.
And similar enough to the previous game at home with him. He takes one big catch, and his confidence goes sky high. And then he looks 10 foot tall, and you're never going to beat him. And he makes the right calls and the right decisions. He's obviously just one of those players that thrives on confidence and needs something to build to keep him up there. But yeah, a solid performance. I don't think we've done anything wrong tonight.
What do you think of the midfield three?
One of the most influential players come the end of the game.
What do you think of the midfield 3 tonight?
Actually, the whole middle of the park, I was only talking to Flano after it and to Adrian, and we're saying there was a real fluidity around Duffy and at times Patching and even Fats. They could pop up anywhere. Like we saw Duffy completely on the wrong side in the first half.
Yeah.
But it seemed to be a call that once somebody.
That's a great point. Sorry, Chris.
It's just gone to the sun focus.
We've lost you there. He's back.
That's like a stream.
Yeah. I'm going to log him out.
Position.
And get it back.
So what he was trying to say was they were all popping up and taking over each other's positions. I think is that what we're going to say?
Yeah.
There'll be no stream jokes. There'll be no stream jokes.
Anyway, like you were saying, back to the start. So Patrick McElhenney's gone.
Jokes, you.
We didn't get any of that, Chris. Sorry.
You're all right. I don't think I made much of a point anyway.
No,
No, I was just saying that, the three, our midfield at a lot of times seem to be swapping and interchanging a lot more. Like the most I'd ever see us done before. But it harked back to, that you would have seen under Kenny a lot, that if we swapped wingers over, everyone was aware that this move was happening and they all filled in accordingly. And I finally seen that tonight. So it's obviously something that they've worked on. Just to give different options in different places. Don't be so rigid to your whatever formation that we're playing, that there's a fluidity to the whole thing. So look, it's good to see, because how many times have we said this season, where's the plan B, where's the plan C for Dundalk? There's nothing.
Exactly.
So it's good to see that there was something tonight for a change.
Absolutely.
That was my point, Callie.
That's good.
Fair play. It was good to see. A couple of minutes into the game, it looked like we were going route one. There was a lot of long ball, but it seemed, and probably because of the standard of the opposition, but it was great to see us play it on the ground. And I thought that, especially in the second half, at the start of the second half, or just after, once Sonny woke up a little bit, it seemed like our midfield three actually interchanged quite a lot.
Yeah.
I saw Stanton got in the box a little bit more than he did in the first half, and it's good to see. It was a little bit more like the Dundalk of old, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like that's it. Like they seem to be. Maybe it's the fact that we've started playing somewhat of a settled side since Vinny's come back. Players are starting to grow in confidence in those positions, and I think that's leading to these little interchanges and nice little triangles off each other and interchanges. We mix it up a bit. I think at times we played it to the wings. At times we went very direct. And then at other times we were, it showed a variation to our game towards, I think if you look, probably for Newtown's point of view, I think they kind of started going route one a little too early and then couldn't find a way out of it then.
Yeah.
It nearly worked out for them once or twice when we were slipping up. But, I think they didn't seem to have as much options to swap up their play and maybe play a different style towards. I think you could probably highlight maybe 3 different times where we swapped it up and just played a different way of playing, which is really good. Like I say, we've called for that for a long time this year.
Yeah.
Maybe and I think a lot of that is down to personnel maybe as well, that we finally have people who want to get on the ball, and that could be part of one of the biggest things to do with it. This is the first time we've seen so many of these players staying in that one position for so long that maybe they're kind of saying, look, now I know what I'm being asked of. Yeah. Okay, great. Let's go and play that way.
Yeah, I think the fact, I know you're talking about Vinny coming back and some of the players knowing him from before and might not be completely on board, but there's that many new players, they're brand new to Vinny Perth. So maybe that's, the likes of Abibi, the likes of Geoff Kofkis, the likes of, Patching obviously would have dealt with Vinny last year, but not a lot. Yeah. Sam Stanton, like we said at the start of the season with Stanton, his fitness, he didn't look like he could play 90 minutes, but now we're just getting to gather momentum with him. And I think the next, over the next half a dozen games, I think they could be fighting that little tree in the middle. And maybe the likes of himself, Patching, maybe they're going to take over now. Maybe this is what we're looking for. Maybe, Sloggett might come back in as well. We'd say what Stephen Maher might, I don't know if he's fit enough now. We get him on a couple of minutes and see if he might fancy a game in midfield. But I just think eventually, like you say, we might be getting this balance right now. And I think maybe the previous management, maybe we were just looking at it for too long. Maybe they just couldn't figure it out. And maybe Vinny's come in and just said, look, this is the way it's going to be. And I just think I've seen people mention BB a lot there. His confidence must be through the roof now. It must be something. It's like a flick of a switch. And it's great. Look at, because that's, of all the problems we've had, how many times we mentioned the goalkeeping and, but now
you mentioned it for the right reasons.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could this actually, Pingu, could this be the closest man in the match competition we've ever had?
I don't think so.
It could be. I've seen a lot of the BBs in it.
I know you are going to have to get off at some stage, Chris. So who is your pick before you do head away?
I think Abibi would be there. I think it's his best game, but I also think we weren't relying on him to win the match for a change. So in that sense, I'd probably look further off the pitch. I think Michael Duffy had a very good game. It's probably one of his best his best performance this year by far. So I'd probably end up going for Michael Duffy.
Duffy, sound.
Just log that there. Log that. So he's logged in.
I have it wrote down. And then what's your prediction for? Is the next game is the second leg, right?
The next one is the second leg, and then Finn Harps at home on the Saturday. Then
So what's your prediction for next week?
I think they'll probably get a goal. I'd say I'll say 2-1 to Dundalk.
2-1 Dundalk. No problem.
Gally, were you the closest last week?
I had 4-1.
No, I think it was 4-1. I 2-0, like 2-0, I think. No. Savage.
The finger up in his high perch there. All right. You get it exactly.
All right. Well, look, I think it's time to bring in our guest. Now that we're talking about Europe, we wanted to get someone in that knew a thing or two about playing in Europe for Dundalk. He wanted me to mention, and I'll have to bring it up every time I ask him a question, that he was once the youngest captain in Europe as well. So delighted to welcome on a gentleman. Really, he was a great player for Dundalk, good fella. He's now coaching at Longford Town, so it's great to see him still involved in the League of Ireland. Mr. Stephen Maher. Marsy, how's it going, pal?
What's happening, pal? I didn't say that. You're put words in I knew you'd throw that one in. But listen, it's something to hold on to. I didn't have much to hold on to in my career, but hold on to that one. Jay Byrne always gives me stick over that one.
Was there anything else he fed you, Stephen, that he has to say as part of this?
There's a few things probably parked off, but listen, we let it happen naturally.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just trying to get them in because we've had Faz on and he's hammered me. We've had Darius on and he's hammered me. So
I'm going to cane you. You think they're nice? I'm going to cane you, but we let it all happen. Just come out naturally.
No worries. Well, look at Marsy. You didn't obviously Longford Town were training tonight before your game this weekend. What was your thoughts on the result?
Yeah, I was trying to keep an eye on it as kind of training was going on, and I seen went 1-0 up, so a great start, then 2-0, 3-0, and then when I finished training, I was checking it on the car on the way home, 4-0, it's an unbelievable result. Any time in Europe, it doesn't matter where you play, it's great to get out there. You kind of feel like a player, you really feel like a professional player when you play in Europe. But for them to go out and win 4-0 in the first leg, that's it. Next week now they can probably rest a few players, they can focus on the league, because that's the priority, I think, for them. If they can get a little run in Europe, great. But the league is the most important. And you see the likes of Macmillan scoring again. You need him back on the pitch, scoring every week in the league, and pushing up the table. I don't know how will they finish in the top three this year. I don't know. But winning the cup, FAI Cup for me is priority for them. They've got to be looking to win that again. They have the players to do it. But like next week now is kind of, for me, it's dead and gone. I wouldn't be worried about it. They should be going out and focusing on the league and just play the fringe players. Some lads, there's a lot of foreign lads who haven't played, so it might suit them playing next week.
Yeah, I think that was good in the second half, that he brought on the likes of Han and gave a couple of lads the opportunity to play. But Mars, you've obviously coached against Dundalk with Longford this season. It's not been the Dundalk that we've kind of known over the last couple of years. What's it been like coaching against them and setting up against them?
Because I played in the early years against the up and coming Dundalk teams with Stephen Kenny, and it was relentless. It was so tough to play against, and I was finished then. My knee was gone, and it was just so tough to deal with. And then obviously coaching against them this year was a little bit different. We kind of knew that there was an influx of foreign players, and you still had the nucleus of the previous group, but we felt we always had a chance. I think that was the thing, going in against Dundalk. You should be expecting to get hammered, but we actually thought we had a chance the way in which we go. And then the first game we played against them, we got a little bit of luck at the start, went 2-0 up, and to be honest, me looking back and reflecting on it, we should have won 5-1, which I thought was a bit mad if you think about it from what Dundalk are, and you're kind of going, what's going on here? And then in the second game, we played really well again, and I felt we should have won. We had one cleared off the line with Aaron Dobbs, who missed. The keeper made a good save. You were talking about him there a minute ago. And then probably could have conceded at the end, but it wasn't that the Dundalk of old. It wasn't that relentless, ruthless form that they used to be in. And that's, for me, looking from the outside, it's just, I thought the recruitment, it's very strange. I don't know, you guys are obviously more affiliated to the club now than I am. I find it mad. I don't know what's going on. I've heard stories. I speak to ex-players, the likes of the lads who went to Rovers, who would have been teammates of mine, and I don't know what's going on. It seems like it's self-destruct. They're pressing the self-destruct button. I don't know what it is. Now, hopefully now with Vinny back in, it kind of brings, settles the ship. But I don't know what's going on. It seems a bit strange. You guys probably enlighten me a little bit more on it, or know a little bit more. It's a bit
yeah, you went to press the button again tonight, Stephen. Don't worry.
Yeah, the one thing I will say,
contract, so.
Yeah, it's mad. Like I played with St. Pat's in 2009, and we had a really good team, but we struggled domestically. We had a funny, like we should have been up competing for the league, but then we went to Europe and we nearly qualified for the Europa League. We got to the 4th round and we were beaten by Steaua Bucharest. And it was like 1 week you could play against a European team and play really well, and the next week you get beaten by Galway. So like it's funny now. It's just trying to maybe motivate these players. The foreign lads might be really encouraged and want to play in Europe, and they could just excel, but they just need to bring that into the domestic form.
Do you think, Marty, just when you were talking about recruitment there, that one of the things when you were involved with Dundalk and other clubs is when we had that squad with Fozzie, the next year, there was still a nucleus of a squad there. He made maybe 5 or 6 changes to the squad, but you still had your 10 players that were there the year before. This year, Dundalk only retained about 5 or 6 and got in about 13 new players. Like, do you think that's obviously a big problem, isn't it? And the fact that they didn't have a good pre-season, they only played 2 games together before they actually kicked off.
Everything just seems strange. Like bringing in that amount of foreign players, I even think bringing 2 or 3 foreign players in, regardless of how good they are. This is a different league. This is a strange league. You kind of just get accustomed to it. You could go to Rovers 1 week and feel like the most amazing player in the world in that big stadium, and then you could be down at Drogheda in an absolute shithole of a stadium. No disrespect to Drogheda, but it is, and they know it themselves. And that's what it is. And you have a foreign lad coming in going, what the fuck am I after signing into? That's what it is. So they just have to. You're bringing 13 of them in then, or 14 of them, whatever it was, and you're kind of going, how are you going to, bring them all together? And then you know what was going on in the background, and it seemed a bit strange. I think you need a good nucleus of kind of local lads, Irish lads who kind of know the league, and then you can just incorporate the rest to bring up the talent. But then the way in which they lost, Sean Hoare and Sean Gannon, and it was very strange. And they weren't even in the running to get Richie Tell. It just shows how far things have gone, and it just seems to me self-destruct. I genuinely, and this is going to sound a bit doomsday dramatic, I actually would worry for Dundalk a little bit, because I don't know where they're going. What are they trying to do? Before, you could see the owners were looking to really build, push for Europe, push for Champions League. And now it's kind of, are they just trying to get out? Are they trying to get out? Like, who could take over tomorrow if something, our fast fix going to come back in? Where's Martin Connolly gone? The minute I seen Martin Connolly go, I thought something's not right there. So that's me. I know it's a bit dramatic. You're coming on the same thing, but for me, I just find that I loved watching the doc. I love what's gone on in the last couple of years. Really jealous of what's, from a personal point of view, really jealous that I wasn't a part of it or anything like that. So I don't know where it's going.
And just on that, if you were a player there now, I'm trying to put this bluntly, would you want to play there? Would you be saying, right, I need out of here? I couldn't.
So I used to speak to the lads, like the lads who would have been there the last couple of years. I would have been good mates with them, and you'd hear about like Rovers, you'd hear about Pats coming into it. I said, you're at Dundalk. For me, Dundalk are run like a Premier League team now. I said, why would you want to even leave there? You're qualifying for Champions League, and they're like, no, fair point. But you always have to look at the other offers and negotiate. Now you'd be you'd be going to Pats, you'd be going to Sligo. You wouldn't, because you don't know this uncertainty. You don't know if the manager's going to be kicked out in a few weeks. You don't know if the owner is going to start picking the team. You just don't know what's going on. There is a base there. Jim, anyone, I know a few people who know Jim Magilton, and they speak really highly of him, and that seems a real progressive step, having someone there with his caliber. But I just don't know. Are they just going to write this season off and get back? Have a go at it next season? I don't know, but I think they need Europe. They need Europe for next season. So the FAI Cup is massive. Like that, for me, that's the holy grail for them. If they get Europe, they can just write off this season and they can go again next season. And they need to, I think, bring in more kind of Irish players and throw the money at this. Like, have a look at a few Sligo lads, have a look at a few Dundalk or St. Pat's lads, and throw the money at them and just get
Longford lads. Yeah.
You might listen. 1 or 2 Longford lads have done well against Dundalk.
I tell you, there's 1 or 2. I'd definitely get a game in Oriel Park. I've watched them a couple of times.
They surprise you. think the results show us, that you look in from the outside if you didn't know the league and you go, they're useless, they're gone. But we've been competitive, and as you guys have seen in the 2 games we played against them, we've been competitive. We just, at the minute, we're not getting the look, we're not scoring, taking our chances, just like the 2 chances in Dundalk, one's cleared off the line and the other one is a tap in and the keeper saves it. So we could be 6 points better off, 8 points better off. I'd argue probably save a little bit more, but it's just the way it is. Once we're there or thereabouts at the end, and we can, have a right go at it. That's all we can expect at the minute with our budget and where we've come from.
So, Marcy, moving into your time at the club, obviously you had 2 stints kind of at Dundalk. You were with us from 2010, 2011, and then with the explosion or the implosion of Monaghan United, you came back for the second half of 2012. Can you just talk a little bit about your time at Dundalk? And I know, obviously, as I say, we had Faz on a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about kind of how when Fozzie came in as gaffer, he kind of professionalised things and had morning trainings and made things. How did it feel coming down to Dundalk, probably coming from Dublin, which was the mecca of football at the time, and coming to a club like Dundalk where, you've got passionate support base, and just what was it like for you?
Well, the first thing, I remember playing with Pats up at Dundalk, and I remember I was playing right back at the time, and I remember the noise from the shed every time you touched that, and it just every time they got in the box, it was just big noise, and I kind of liked it. You look around Oriel Park, you kind of go, it needs to be done up, it needs a new stand, but I kind of liked it. I kind of buzzed off it. And then Fozzie took over at Dundalk, and I remember his Galway teams, they were really exciting, they were really, great to watch. And when he spoke to me, I said, yeah, I kind of like that. I was getting out of Pats at the time. I think Pete Mann had taken over. So I said, yeah. And then the group of players that we had Neil Fenn, Faz, you had Ross Gaynor, you had JJ Melligan, you had Tom Miller. Like, that is a good team. Like, if that team was playing now in the prime, that would be still up there. You had Burnsy at the back, you had Wayne Hatswell, Sean Kelly. Like, it was a good team. Peter Cherry was in his prime. That was a strong team, but I think we just lacked depth. We had no subs. We had like 2 or 3 young lads, and that was it really. And we just played with the 11 every week, and it kind of worked for the first 6 months. And for me, then Fozzie just gave me the confidence. I played every week, and I just excelled. Everything was going right. Everything in my life was positive. Everything was good on the pitch. And then I kind of broke down just after the European games. I played nearly every game. And that's where the squad kind of should have kicked in, and more players should have been there to come on, but we didn't really have that. And I played through the groin injury, but never really got over it. It took about 8 or 9 months to get over. And then when I came back from that year, I broke my foot then the following year, when Quiggs and Jason Bourne and Daniel Cairns were there. So it was kind of mixed. The first kind of 9 months were brilliant, and then the 9 months after that was difficult because I had a couple of bad injuries. But I actually was going to Sligo, then Fozzie went to Sligo, and I was going to sign for Sligo, but then they ended up going to Accrington Stanley. Paul Cook went to Accrington Stanley, so I had to go to Monaghan, and that was a nightmare. Roddy was brilliant. Roddy's an absolute legend, but playing at Monaghan was tough. But then one day it was gone. We came back and said, you're not getting paid, the team's gone. So Darius got on to me, and I went back, and I had a bit between my teeth. Like, I really wanted to do well, and I gave absolutely everything in the games. We just couldn't seem to get a result. We had the playoff there because Monaghan obviously were gone, and I got sent off in the playoff. So I was enemy number 1, and Stevie McDonald got me out of a hole in the home game, which I always remember that. And I remember just thinking, I wanted to just curl up in a ball and knock him out of his dressing room. But I was listening, obviously, from the end. I heard the screams, and Stevie scored and got me out of a hole. And then the following week, I was obviously suspended, and we won the game 4-0. And I always something kind of laid with me. I was a bit bitter about. There was a couple of lads there who were awful throughout the season, and they were hammered all season. And then in the final game, they win the game, and they're heroes, and that pissed me off because I came in and I was giving everything, and then I made a bollocks of it in the other playoff. So that was the only little bitter thing I had. I was like, these lads were useless all year. Useless all year. And then when they win down on Waterford, and then they're heroes, I was like, oh. Well, listen, that was the only thing I was bitter at. Can't be perfect.
Stephen, I remember talking to you before the first playoff though, and because I was still doing camera work for the club and stuff at the time. I said, look, as long as we keep all the players on the pitch, it'll be fine. Jesus, I made sure I did not make any eye contact to you when you got sent off, and after the match I was like, I've
never been as pumped up for a game in my entire life. Like, I can't tell you, on the way up in the car with the lads are like, Jesus Christ, you look like you're ready to burst through the window. And then Darius played like a gladiator, like a a motivational video before. And
Yeah, I put that video together.
Yeah, it was the Gladiator. I'd love to actually see it there, just bring me back. And it was like the Gladiator one where he's in the middle of the Coliseum, and I was literally foaming at the mouth. I was ready to go. And I remember there was a couple of tackles early on in the game, and I literally went through people. And I was involved in the goal then, so I think I played it over the top to one of the lads. Riley, I think his name was. And he put it in, we scored. And I remember just the adrenaline. I was ready to just run through walls. I was ready to fight. And I don't even know what I did. I remember I tackled someone on the touchline, and someone said I kicked the ball. It was like a push kick. There was nothing in it. Like the man fell to the ground, Peter Higgins, and he got sent off. And I remember just thinking, I've got this club relegated. I never thought we'd put it, because we hadn't won in about 10 games. So I was like, we're not going to win now with 10 men. And Waterford were a decent side. I think they had Shawnee Maguire playing up top and Gary Dempsey in the middle. But Stevie done me a favour. He got me over hole. And the next week we stayed up, which is the most important thing. But it just pissed me off a little bit that a few people treated some people as heroes. And I was like, they were useless all year. But however. I got hammered. I took the brunt. I got hammered for it, and we nearly got relegated. But listen,
I make sure I never tell anybody. Just let's keep all the players on the pitch ever again. No.
No. I played on the edge, so it was bound to happen every now and then.
No more Gladiator for you.
Yeah, I was so pumped up. I was literally so pumped up. More relaxed now.
Brilliant. Stephen, I have to just pop off. Good seeing you again, pal.
No problem. It's good to see you. Catch up soon, yeah.
See you later, Chris.
All right. See you, lads.
So, Mars, you've been good to me so far. So I'm going to move on now to probably the highlight of your career.
Remember, hold on, before we go. Yeah. Do you remember you'd ask you for a towel and you'd tell me to, you wouldn't even tell me to fuck off. You'd just be like, no. You just say no. And you were doing all the jobs. You were doing nearly everything. You were kit man. You were nearly coach. You were fucking nearly bus driver.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't get me a towel. I was like, can I have a towel? Can I have a drink of water? No.
It's because you wanted a second towel. We Jerry always told me one towel per player.
Good old Jerry. What a legend.
Hero. But I suppose, Marzi, look, moving on to we always ask every player what their highlight was. I'm sure your highlight at Dundalk was probably captaining the side in Europe, or just obviously on a night like tonight. What was that experience like, just playing for Dundalk, or representing not just Dundalk but representing the league in European ties?
You know, as I said earlier, when the European games come around, it's I think it's the time you really feel like a professional player. You're travelling away on going to Dublin Airport. You're travelling away. You're getting to the hotel. And in other countries, you're treated like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're earning 500 quid a week. You could be earning 50 grand a week. You're just treated the same. You're a footballer, and it's just that unbelievable feeling. And going out there playing in the Europe games is probably the highlight for me, because I think Fenny had got injured or was getting rested in one of the games, and the armband was passed to me, and it just lifted me 10 feet. You know, it just felt unbelievable. And I was playing well at the time, so I was giving it was on merit as well. It wasn't just, okay, just give it to him. So it's just that feeling of wearing the jersey, the white jersey. I love that jersey, that Champions League jersey. The Europa League jersey. I must actually find that, because it's an amazing jersey. And then the armband on just felt great. Everything just felt great about it. There's no better feeling. And I know Jay Burn gives you a bit of stick, and you're giving me a bit of stick about it, but that feeling was just amazing. I just can't beat it. And I'm sure the lads tonight are absolutely buzzing, just going away to Europe and winning so emphatically. And hopefully now that can kick them on, because it's been qualified for that Nations League. It's another good year, you know. It's just, and then add a cup to that, and you know, it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose, like back then, again, not to hype up Fozzie, because he never listens to this, but he made it that little bit more professional, didn't he? Like he might listen
to it now, because I was his favourite player.
Exactly. But you know, having all the staff and players go to the games wearing suits, like it's little things like that, isn't it? That just professionalised everything at the time. I remember when I came in, because I had gone to see some of the training sessions with Sean Connor the year previous, and it was to me that was professional. But then you go in then with Fozzie and it was the daytime training, but every home game we had to wear suits and stuff like that. Like it's just little things like that just made everything better, didn't it?
You see where Fozzie's gone now. Fozzie's high up in the FA in England. I think it's the 17s. I think he's
he's 19s now, isn't he?
19s.
He's 19s.
So you're no mug when you're in the FA now. You're no mug. He knew his stuff. He knew he was only up and coming at the time. And he was still only young. I forgot. He was only like 32, 33. I didn't realise how young he was. So you can see the little things that he brought in. The suits were a nice touch. They were a terrible fit. When I think back, they were so baggy. Me and Fenny weren't happy. We liked the fitted suits. And we weren't happy that they were a little bit baggy. But no, the little things like that showing up to a game, it just, kept the professionalism. Even when we travelled in the airport, we travelled to Luxembourg. I think we went to Frankfurt first, and we were all wearing the suits. And it did look the part. It was the little things, It was just unfortunate that the budget wasn't maybe a little bit bigger, and we could have had it a bigger squad. Because I think if we had 15 or 16 really strong players, we would have kicked on that year. Because we were top of the league. We were top of the league at one point.
That's right.
We were top of the league, and we only had 11, 12 players, and some big results against Bows and Shamrock Rovers, and there was some great performance. For me, I think that was the start of that whole journey at Dundalk. It was kind of, the fans had an expectation of beating big teams. They had an expectation of big players. In that couple of seasons, you had Neil Fenn, Jason Bourne, Mark Quigley, Daniel Cairns, Liam Burns, JJ Melligan, Tom Miller, all big players. And that was kind of the expectation. I think fans in Dundalk were like, okay, yeah, we're expected to get the big players. And then obviously as the success then kicked on with Stephen Kenny, all the bigger players then wanted to come to Dundalk. They didn't want to go to Pats and Rovers anymore. And for a couple of years there, Rovers couldn't get near Dundalk when it came to the best players, when it came to the likes of McElhenney and Duffy. But they've got to make sure that stays the same. Got to stop Rovers now nicking them every year.
Yeah. And I suppose, look at moving on now, Marzi, you've got into coaching over the last couple of years, and you've been working with Longford Town. You worked with Fenny first, didn't you? And then you've been working with Dara.
Fenny's going to get me start. I know we probably shouldn't be mentioning Fenny because he's the evil Dundalk, but Fenny is a great fella. Apart from obviously what happened with Dundalk, he gave me starting coaching. It kind of gave me a chance to get me. Just find my voice in coaching, dealing with kids, dealing with aspiring players going to England, and then I got the buzz for it. I got a real kick out of it. I got more of a buzz out of it than I did playing. I kind of liked saying something to a player, and then all of a sudden he goes out and does it on the pitch, and he feels great. And I was like, I like this, so I get a buzz off this. So I started doing my badges. So I'm on my A licence now. I'm supposed to finish my A licence, but when the last year with everything going on, it's so hard to do the last assessment. So I'll be finished my A hopefully by the end of the year. And then I'm coaching at Longford now with Dara Doyle. So Dara would have been in coaching with us at Path to Pro. He would have been coaching under Fenny at Longford. Then Fenny went to Cork, and now Dara's the manager. So I'm the first team coach there now. So great experience last year, my first year, and we got promoted out of the first division. So that was unbelievable. And now this year we're at a different kettle of fish altogether in the top division. It's been really enjoyable, but really frustrating as well. I feel like we deserve a lot more, but we're not getting it yet. But we're still in it. We're still there. It's just a case of how you finish in this league, and if we can finish, strong, we'll take the playoff. That's just the way it is. I look at Finn Harps in the last couple of years. The playoff for them was success, and they stay up. So that's got to be our little probably motto this year.
It's interesting just when because you're an ex-player and do you find yourself sitting on the bench looking at players who play your role and saying, Jesus, I wouldn't have done that, or do you find yourself telling them this is what I would have done, or are you just kind of going by
there's some games where I watch and I go, I wish when I retired that I took a year out and just watched football and just calmed down and then came back.
Yeah.
Because I feel if I stayed in the game, my brain now works a lot better on the pitch. I play for Sheriff now with Mark Quigley. And I know it's a different level and a lower level, but I play the game differently now. I play with my brain, whereas before I used to play with my body, running everywhere, tackling, fighting and everything. And now I play with my brain, and I realised I should have done that when I played. So I feel like if I was still playing now at 33, I might not have the legs, but I'd have the brain to kind of see things a little bit better and maybe do things a little bit better. So I kind of regret. That's what I'm sort of sitting there going, I would have done that differently. How is he not seeing that? But that just comes with experience, I see lads like A. Dervin, who plays in the middle for us, is very similar to me. He'd be closing down fullbacks, he'd be closing down goalkeepers. And I'm trying to say to him, just calm down, you know what I mean? Just use your brain a little bit more. But that will come with him, he's a great pro. and that will come with him. But it's just, looking back, it's just I should have had to, use my brain a little bit more, and that's why probably when I'm watching it on the touchline, you're kind of going, oh, I could have done that. But listen, gone now. I'm a coach now, so all I can do is just help the players.
Do you get in much trouble? I wonder, because I remember you being at Oriel Park before, and you weren't shy of attacking. You weren't shy of giving refs a bit of stuff. Do you find yourself having to watch them out on the sideline, or you just did they have you marked?
So what happens is I can sit on the bench, but I don't sit on the bench because I kind of find that the managers there, the assistant managers there, I kind of have to know my place. I can't be shouting over them. So I during the lockdown, there was no fans. So I took advantage of that and I went over to the opposite side. So I was almost a second coach. So we were coaching from both sides. And we found it quite effective and quite, it worked, and you were giving so much information to the players. But then teams obviously then were copping on, and they were like telling me I'm not allowed to stand on the other stand, and there was almost mind games then. But I was saying, I'd say certain things, and the linesmen actually were getting a bit offended, I think, by some of the things I was saying. So I think I got like an unofficial letter into the club saying, just watch me mouth. I didn't actually do anything wrong, but they were kind of just watching me. And then last week I was on the bench and I got a yellow card, and I think they thought I was going to get a red card, and I think you get like a 2-page letter from the FEI when you get a yellow card. It's just a yellow card informing the club that I've got a yellow card. It's like a 2-page. Nothing's changed really. I'm still getting excited. Off the pitch, I'm very calm. I don't really get involved. When it comes, once that whistle goes, I'm all action. I feel like I'm playing the game, but not playing the game. I'm playing it in my head, and I'm all in. I'm shouting, I'm roaring, and then afterwards, I'm quite placid and quite chilled out. But once that whistle goes, I love it. I can't just keep going.
I suppose winding down here, Marcy, do you see management in your future? Is that something you aspire to be in the league? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, that's. I'd rather just keep pushing. It takes so long to do your badges. You have that experience. I just want to help players. Like, listen, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I don't really care. But I do. I'd love to give management a shot. But I'm in no rush to do it. I like to learn. I like to. Whereas when I played, I wanted everything tomorrow. Whereas when I coach now, I'm happy to, if it's 10 years, if it's 15 years, I can be manager when I'm 60. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather just build up the experience. What I've learned in the last 2 years has been unbelievable. Sometimes you feel like you think you know it all, like everybody, but you just learn so much. You learn from defeat, you learn from wins, you learn from the staff around me. So it's going to take time. I've no rush. I know some people are quick to rush into it. They were years coach, and all of a sudden they're a manager. It works for them. Might not work for me, but I'd rather just build up my knowledge, try and coach in as many places as I can, and coach around as many good people as I can. And then if that job ever does come about, I'll be ready. And but all I want to do as a coach is just help players. I just want the satisfaction of knowing that I've given some player advice, or he can learn from my mistakes, or just he can go out onto the pitch and do something, and you just gave him some confidence. That's the buzz I get. I used to, as a player, I wanted everything. Now as a coach, I'm just happy for someone else to do well. So that's kind of my buzz at the minute.
And could you see yourself coming back to Oriel Park at some point? Would that be a job that'll interest you in the future?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story before we log off. A friend of mine in England, he's now a manager in the league now, only recently, so you can probably suss out who it is. He rang me and he said, have you got your badges? So I immediately thought he's got a job in England. And I was like buzzing. I was like, here's my chance. I'm off to England, big club, probably League 1, League 2 or something like that. And then he goes, no, it's in Ireland. And the first thing I said, it's Dundalk. I said, he's a decent name, like in England. He's definitely going to Dundalk. And then he said it was Waterford. I was like, jeez. I thought, here I am. I'm going back to Dundalk. I can't wait. But that was a couple of weeks ago. He's gone to Waterford now. But Waterford, I couldn't be moving to Waterford. I think Darragh would let me go to Shamrock Rovers or Dundalk. I don't think he'd let me go to Waterford. But that was just the funny. I thought we were going to. I thought I was going to England. Then thought Dundalk, and then I was like, no, not Waterford. I'd love to. It's like the way Dundalk is run up there, it's a professional. I want to be full time. Do you know what I mean? I want football to be a part of my life every second of the day. And that's what you aspire to. That's what every Longford player wants to be. He wants to be a full-time player. Longford staff, we all want to play in Europe, win leagues. You've got to earn your stripes. You've got to do, all the right things for Longford and give absolutely everything, and make them a solid Premier Division team. They're a cup team. They've won cups before. Can we do well in the cup? There's so much to look forward to in the second half of the season for us. So that's what you've got to do. If I want to coach at a higher level or in a different country, you know, I've got to do the business where I'm at now, and that's, you know, the goals are to be go as high as I can. And you know, I love Dundalk. I had a great time up there, some great people, and you know, if an opportunity ever came way down the line, I'd absolutely chop your hand off to take it.
Brilliant. We'll send that in. The gym was yelled up for you, all right?
Just right on.
Jim, yeah.
I suppose
Big Burns is a great fellow. I was only speaking to him last week.
He is.
Right,
Very last question for you, and then we'll let you go, Marzy, is aside from becoming the youngest ever captain in Europe, what's your highlight, or is there any other particular highlight from your time at the club?
The Europe was brilliant. Yeah, as you mentioned that 5 times now. What else? I think the goal at Shamrock Rovers. I think the ball was clipped into Fenny, took it down, I smashed it into the corner, and yeah, I love that. I love watching back that. That was a great moment, great feeling.
If someone mentions your name, that's the first thing I think of. That goal, that kit as well. We were talking about it.
Yeah, so a load of people say, "Oh, do you remember Fenny's touch?
Yeah.
Do you remember the red kit? Do you remember the goal in the corner?"
Anytime someone mentions your name, it's the first thing that comes into my head is that goal in Tala. Yeah.
Wasn't that the first game of the season, or the second?
No,
the first
that was
game, was it?
That was a couple of games in.
It was the first game the kit came out.
Yeah. It was an awful kick. I hated that red kick.
Do you remember, Marcy? We picked it up on the bus on the way.
It was all too big for us. There was no actual sizes. It was swimming on us. That was a great moment. Probably, do you know what's funny? And you're gonna think I'm an absolute oddball or a weirdo. When we played in Sofia and we got hammered 6-0, I remember that night feeling I did well in the game. Now I know you get beaten 6-0. You're kind of going, you can't play well in the 6-0. But I felt like I was able to compete with the lads. I felt like I was as fit as that team. I felt like the opposition made me a better player because I knew I couldn't make any mistakes. And I remember coming off the pitch and saying it to my dad at the time. And he goes to me, "You're after being beaten 6-0. How could you be happy?" And I said, I wasn't happy. I just felt like, I could maybe play at a higher level because I could compete with them lads. Now, maybe I was just deluded because we got beaten 6-0. I was a bit punch drunk or something. But no, I really, coming off that was a great feeling as well, which is a bit mad. You get beaten 6-0 when you kind of enjoyed it. But I just felt that at that time, I thought, you know what, I'm doing all the right things. I'm working hard. I'm keeping myself fit and competing against these lads. Now, I know the result doesn't show that, but that was some weird things. Like the Europe, I thought I have a chance here to maybe play at a good team, but it didn't really work out that way with all the injuries and kind of things like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that game against Levski. It was 20,000 people at the game. I think there was only 5 Dundalk fans or something like that because they all spent their money.
Remember your man, the left winger? He was the Brazilian, and Sean Kelly. We were telling Sean Kelly before the game he was on like 25 grand a week. And he was like a fast little Brazilian. And I think after the first minute, he just gone boom, and Sean Kelly was blown out of his arse. And the man just kept running at him for about fucking 90 minutes.
I think Maddie signed the next week, didn't he, after that game?
Simon signed, then the next week. That retired Sean Kelly.
Well, Marzy, look, this is brilliant, and you've gone easy on me, so I think we'll leave it there before you get a chance to say anything else. So, thanks a million, Paul.
I only realised there that was coursing. I shouldn't have been coursing.
You're after the watershed. You're all right.
That's all right. No, I think I'll get you over a few points.
Yeah, no. Hopefully, I'll be home now soon. I'm vaccinated now, so hopefully get home.
Hopefully, get home soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they miss you in Oriel Park.
I don't know. They haven't come looking for me yet, so.
To be fair, I forgot that you were. I'll actually compliment you. You were part of the Save the Club campaign. You were heavily involved, and I do forget. People I think sometimes forget that because there's a lot of new Dundalk fans, and they kind of forget everything what happened pre 2013. And obviously you haven't been around because you were living in America. So hopefully get a big parade out for you when you come back.
Cheers, Marcy. I appreciate that. You can come on.
Make a note of that. Make a note of that. Get that up the gym.
Hold on a second. When I do see you, though, I'm going to keg you.
No, Marcy, thanks a million. Hopefully, this has been great. Obviously, it's hard to get you on because of your schedule and the club schedule and stuff like that. But maybe we'll try to get you on at some stage later on in the season if the schedules allow. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit happier and the club. Both clubs will be going a little bit better.
That's it. Yeah, hopefully they'll lock up the table and they're allowed to give us a few points when we play them next. I think we played them in August or something like that. So hopefully they're way up the table and they're happy to take a night off and give us 3 points.
Well, best of luck to yourself, Dara, and everyone at Longford as well, Marcy.
Appreciate that, lads. Thanks very much.
Good
to see you.
Thanks very much.
See you soon. Yeah, all the best.
That was great.
Yeah, you love there's I think we've had it before when Flano was on, and like Margie being my kind of, your favourite kind of players, you love to see back, you're having a team, and he always gave it kind of 100%. He was, his tackles were, I can say, you can nearly hear them from the stand where he used to sit. I'm used to sit. You haven't been, still sit there, but not up there at the moment. Yeah, great player, great, riddled with injuries just before, but a smashing player. Like, he
was one of them players, wasn't he? Like, not the same as Shieldsy, but in that similar mould. He done all the hard work, and then the likes of a Faz, Jason Bourne, Mark Willie got all the credit. And when Marzi went out of the team when he got injured that time, I don't think it's any coincidence that we started struggling when he picked up that groin injury. And that's again, Marzi's one that had that osteopubitis back then, due to the pitch, which didn't look great tonight. But we're not going to bring it up. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that.
Yeah, Marge is great, and he can play anywhere. He's one of those. I remember we went to Drogheda even as well. He was excellent for Drogheda, and I know he went to Pat's in the middle of the park there as well. He used to come back to haunt us sometimes in the middle because he gave Shieldsy plenty of games against Shieldsy and that when we played them. But an excellent player, great crack as well. We knew what we were getting.
From what I remember, I know he played obviously in the first game of the season against us under Sean McCaffrey, and I think he was man of the match that night for Monaghan as well. He's another player that probably didn't reach the heights he should have, and the effort that he put in, he should have done well. But he's a good lad, and I remember even back obviously when I was kit man with the team at the time, and he was just so passionate, and it comes across still. He hasn't lost any of that passion. He's putting it into his coaching now, which is brilliant. Look, we'll move on anyway. We're going to announce our man the match picks in about 5 minutes or so, or maybe a little bit sooner. But before we do, Gally, we'll go into obviously the transfers. And again, just if anyone was late getting on live, the news broke tonight that Patrick McElhaney is leaving at the end of the season, if not sooner. But obviously we've lost Shieldsy, we've lost Jesus Perez, we've lost now McElhaney's going at the end of the season. Like, do you think this is it, Gally, or do you think there's going to be more to come?
I'd be shocked. I said it at the start of the season, maybe 4 or 5 games, and I'd be very surprised if Mickey Duffy's playing football at Oriel Park next season. I just don't.
Not even next season. Do you think that's it for this transfer window? Do you think
of the major ones? Yeah, I like. I mean, there's always ones who could go, but it means of someone like, not to be smart or sound crass, anyone that we're going to miss, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there's one or Perez is gone, Junior gone as well. I don't see anybody being picked up by the league. I know there was talk before Vinny came into Darrell, he might go out on loan, talk on Twitter, but he seems to be Vinny's man for left back, so I don't see anything, unless the player's completely unhappy. I don't see anybody major going. I mean, maybe young O'Kane gets a loan move, I don't know. He doesn't seem to be getting a jersey up here. I don't see anybody with that kind of impact. I think we stop at the big names for now, unless somebody comes in with money. Mickey Duffy's got his contract at the end of the season. But it's whether we can see. The problem is they're willing to let Shields go off the wages, but they're not willing to use the wages to bring someone in, and that's more of an issue. Even as big as Shields, as big as the gap is, and even with McElhaney, he'd be here at the end of the season. But there is talk on Twitter tonight. I just seen on the phone that they're going to try and get him out before that. They're not giving up hope of getting him out maybe before. Look, I think they're just cashing in now. I think that the lads are just saying, look, if there's money available, we can get them off the wages. But I don't think it'll be the end of this squad. Now, look, hitting the reset button could be the best thing for us. We don't know. I think Duffy's got a lot of football left in him. Fats can come in and out of games, can be injured. He seems to be having a good run at the minute. Doesn't help when you've got players who can take over, like Murray having, not playing tonight because of whatever's going on during the week. But again, on the flip side of that, we've got Patching coming in. We've Ryan O'Kane who can play there as well. Who hasn't really got a lot of football over the last couple of months. But yeah, look, it's one of those that it could be a blessing. It could be the players. Maybe this squad has just come to an end. It's just come to the end of the road. This rotation, this kind of cycle of what we've had over the last few years, has just hit a brick wall now. And I think, provided they can bring in players, and like Margie was saying, it's got to be players who've got League of Ireland experience. Now, whether or not we can go get the best players, I don't know. But we got to go looking at players now who are homegrown. I'm just saying people who have experience in this league. There's no point in bringing in players, like we said at the very start of the season. It's all well and good going out and scouting players. We've got international accreditation and international caps. But if they're not good enough to play, then there's no point in them being here. But whether it's a blessing that we've only got 3 players signed up for next year, it could be. It could be the best thing. You know, the way the season's gone, just hit the reset button, wipe the floor with everybody, and we go again. But we don't know. It can be a bit mad at times.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, you have to look at this season, and I was a guest on the Friday I'm in live podcast. Today it actually came out, and I mentioned that I feel there was probably too many new signings and too many signings from outside the league made at the start of the season. There was too many players left, too many players came in. You know, it was one of those, and only having 2 games in pre-season. Like, I think they might have trained for a month, but you only have 2 games. Yeah. Like, in order to bed players in, you need to be playing. Like, it takes time to gel together, especially if you have that many players coming from outside the league that don't know. Not just outside the league, outside the town as well. They don't know the league, they don't know the town, and you would hope, like, if we're looking at it now, you would hope Stanton will be kept. I mean, we don't know who we're going to keep at the end of the day, but you would hope Patching, Stanton, looking at those 2 midfield slogging, hopefully will be kept. It's just, it's hard to know. I mean, like, the question I was kind of asking was transfers out. We've heard the rumour of Hubin might be going. It wouldn't surprise me if we're going to see anything about him potentially on the way out at some point, or signing a pre-contract out elsewhere. You just hope at the minute that that's the end of our transfers out. And I mean, one thing, Abibi's obviously every game he seems to be getting a little bit more confident, which is good, which is definitely a positive. But I would hope that we get some form of a centre back in the next couple of weeks, because that's where we're struggling. One player that I you know, Gally, and we don't like to slaughter any players here on the podcast intentionally, but one player that I can't wait to see the back of is Ahibo. He came on tonight and he had no interest. He was walking around the pitch, and I sent it in our group chat. He was walking around. Every time he got a pass from 5 yards, he just gave it back, one touch, didn't look for a ball again. And it was like, I could see Andy Boyle at one point was getting frustrated, because I think the two of them played about 7 passes back and forth. Yeah. And Boyle was giving it to him to turn and get open, and he had so much space, and he's strolling around, and the lad needs to kick up the hole. You know what I mean? Like, he does. He needs to. And
I think the thing with him is he seems to have lots of talent. He seems to have the ability to just wipe the floor with anybody in the league. Like, he just seems to have that kind of way about him, but he just seems not to be bothered. He just seems to be, look at, I can't wait to get out of here. Like, the chances are, if somebody come in and paid for him, he'd probably be gone. If somebody was like, they just cut his contract, so look at where you go. He just seems to be, when he's missing half the season. You see, look at the rumours you see about him, whatever it is, nightclubs, he's supposed to be in quarantine, all this kind of crack. But that you can just put that to the side if he comes out and absolutely have cracking matches. But he doesn't. He had one cracking game. It might have actually been Longford against Marge's team, and since he just doesn't seem to be. I actually thought he might be cover at centre half. He could be decent cover at centre half early in the season. It's just, for me, he's a non-player. Like, maybe it's in his contract he has to make so many appearances. I don't know, but there's no need to bring him on. You know, if he's not going to do anything, like a player like that coming in who's been an MLS All-Star and isn't getting in Vinnie Per's team, you know, who plays that role at Shields, he could effectively play that role. And Stanton's getting in ahead of him. You know, it's just, he's obviously not doing it in training. Like I said earlier, like I said a couple of months ago, players that we wouldn't miss at the club could leave, and he's definitely one of them. I don't see it. I don't see us. We're crying out for midfielders at the start of the season, but for me, he could easily just jog on. It's not a bit. It's a non-issue. I mean, barring injuries, he doesn't play. He doesn't get into the 11. You know, so, and he didn't seem to get into any manager. Like anybody at Big Five, he didn't get into any of them. So I don't think we'd miss him. But then at the same time, we probably just have to keep him around for numbers at this stage.
Yeah.
But I'm sure, if you believe the rumours, he's not coming cheap. But Vinny won't stand for that. I don't see Vinny Per standing for that unless somebody's over his head saying, "Look, you have to play this for."
Yeah.
And we really hope that's not the case. That's just me spitballing, but you hope that's not a thing. But Yeah, players like that are not needed, especially when the club's under pressure. It'd be different for Walk in the league. You know, you can carry a couple of players like that, but we now need players who are going to, you know, pull up trees for everybody each week, and he's definitely not one of them.
Yeah, no, it was very disappointing just seeing his body language and everything when he come on tonight. But anyway, look, moving on. He's not going to be selected for man of the match tonight.
He definitely won't be. No, not if he played 5-a-side and he wouldn't get a game.
No. So moving on to a man of the match. Chris earlier picked Michael Duffy. Donald picked Sam Stanton. Donald is not available tonight. He decided to go for a pint instead of coming on with us. So. Disappointed from Donald. Not angry, just disappointed in that.
Yeah, enjoy your point.
So who was your pick, Ali, for man of the
match? In a nice way, there's a few people. I thought BB done well. I think Duffy, as usual, look, it's very rare Duffy's not mentioned. I just see a text there from McMillan. Yeah, for the goal it was tonight. He's all-time European leading goal scorer. But for me, I just think for someone from where he's come from the start of the season, and over the last couple of weeks, he slowly got into the season. I thought he was excellent tonight. It'd be Sam Stanton for me. I think. I just think it's a massive set of boots to fill when Chris Shields leaves a club and you're asked to go in and play. Now, obviously, he's probably not asked to do exactly what he's done, but he's gone in and done the hard work, and it's probably gone unnoticed by someone. I know his name's popped up a couple of times, but even before we come on tonight, I think for me, yeah, Stanton. I thought just for where he's come from, and I hammered him at the start of the season. I didn't think he was good enough to play. He's like he reminds me kind of I can't even think of his name. Bennett. Do you remember Ian Bennett that would have played? Ian Bennett, a shocking start of the season when he came into England, and then just seemed to progress through the season as a proper CDM. I think Stanton could go that way as well. Yeah, for me, Stanton. Yeah, that'll be my pick for tonight.
Yeah, no, I'd agree definitely. Stanton for me. I just think he done all again. Talking about the characteristics that the likes of Marzi, Chris Shields had maybe earlier in his career with Dundalk. Stanton done a lot of the dog work in midfield, broke up a lot of play, started a lot of the positive play going forward. So I thought he was very good. And as I say, he was positive. He was going back into the back four in a way that Stevie O'Donnell used to try pick up the ball and move the ball forward. So for me, I mean, hands down, I think he was the best player on the pitch. So going off of that means Chris as back to reality. Chris just said it's back to normal because the show's over an hour tonight. It's back to normal. Chris is the odd one out in the lads with his choice of Duffy. So Sam Stanton, Gally, I'll let you have a look through the comments if you want there, and or have a look in the private chat. I'll give you names, and if you want to pick a winner for the pizza.
Yeah, I think just looking at it there, and again, I know we mentioned it is. We do like to. There's people that comment in every week, and look at everybody's great with their comments every week. But I think for Stanton tonight, we're going to go with Stephen Todd.
Congratulations, Stephen.
Well done.
You can get in touch with Tony's Pizzeria, and there's
first European pizza of the year.
Yeah, Neapolitan pizza. But yeah, so look, we'll not hold up any longer. We'll try to get this wrapped up soon because Chris is annoying me now with that comment. So, moving on to next week to the second leg. Chris has it down as a 2-1 Dundalk win. What's your take on that, Kelly?
I think I mean, yeah, there'll probably be some change. I don't think it made massive changes because at the end of the day, you got to get it over the line. I think maybe the second half will probably make a couple of changes, but I think I don't see them scoring. I don't think they created enough for even to score. I don't know what the ground's like over there. I think they probably let a couple of fans in as well. I'm good as just go the same as last week, 2-0 again. I don't think we'll do a 4-0 tonight. What we did tonight, but I don't see them scoring because I just don't think they produce enough. Yes, Obibi's pulled off 2 good saves tonight, but they don't do anything for me going forward. So yeah, I think another 2-0 to ourselves.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 3-0. I don't think it'll be the 4, but I think we'll get enough. I think Vinny should rest some players, but I think he's going to probably want to go out and have a statement of intent.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be too many changes, at least to the starting team. I think we'll probably see all 5 subs used, but I'm going to go with 3-0, and we'll get Steph and Donald's later in the week, and we'll compare them next week. But that was great. Thank you very much, Gally.
Oh wow, that was great. It's nice. It's different after the European night. It's nice to get somebody like Marzi on as well. I hope he's still listening because, players that come on like him are they kind of still have that passion. It's great getting. There seems to be something in Dundalk with players who have played for Dundalk. There seems to be something that drives that club that has that. They still have that passion for them. And Phil, thanks for coming on. It's great. And I've seen a couple of messages out of people commenting and memories of them. And yeah, it's good to get players like that on and having a crack. And it's good to be coaching as well. It's great to have people like that coaching the league, especially at League of Ireland level and Premier Division level. So yeah, great to have them on. Phil, Bill.
Yeah, brilliant. So thanks a million, Marzi, for coming on. Thank you, Gally. Thanks to Chris for a short stint. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure if you get a chance to listen back on the podcast, and we'll see everybody next week. All right, Gally, I'll let you do it in Steph's on, or I'll let you wrap it up tonight.
I'm going to have to be cheeky and go no fats.